me at Cello, Cello. You had me at Cello. You had me at Cello. Oh, you had me at Cello. Hi, everybody. 5 o'clock on a Friday. Time for another episode of Cello Chat. With me today is Jennifer Bayerl. I'm really happy to have her on the program. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Okay, good.
Still waking up. Oh, wait, no. It's in the afternoon on Friday. Fine, I'm wide awake.
Well, I know the end of a semester can have its own kind of frantic component, but then again, so does every part of every semester, right?
Very true.
All right. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us your musical background? How'd you get to be where you've gotten?
Well, I am the orchestra teacher in Delavan Darien School District. I teach 5th grade through 12th grade. When I started here, I was 4th grade through 12th grade. We do have a 4th grade program. I don't do that anymore, but I've got 5 through 12, public school program. And I got here on a pretty straight path. I started playing cello when I was in the summer before 4th grade. And it sticks with me all the time. And I use that experience with my youngsters when I recruit them. I remember sitting in an audience when the high school orchestra came out and played for us, and the jazz band came out and they each played, and it was recruiting to get the kids into music. And it was all great. I loved it all. You know, the jazz band was fantastic, and they were loud and boisterous and had really funky shirts on. It was really cool, but it was the cello player that got me in the orchestra. The music was just so beautiful. I didn't need the flash. I wanted the beauty. And so the cello grabbed me. First, I heard it, like, that's my instrument right there. So I, public school, used a school instrument my whole way through because we couldn't afford to buy a cello or rent a cello. It was hard enough. My parents had to buy a bow, and that was difficult. But so I played all the way through, and I loved playing the cello. I loved being in orchestra. It was always the first thing I put on my schedule when I had a schedule each year. I don't care what else happens. Orchestra's there, and it's not moving. And I helped coach summer orchestra, the beginners, because I remember being a beginner and having the high school coaches working with us, and I thought they were glamorous and exciting, and I want to be just like them. So then when I was a teenager, I thought, well, I want to do that too. I want to be that for those little kids. And I loved it. And there was a summer teacher who had a hard time with some difficult students. And so she gave me those difficult students to work with one-on-one. And then I found out how rewarding it is to work with someone who has some real challenges and be able to maybe identify their challenges and help them find other ways to figure out how this note reading works or how to hold my bow. And I found that so rewarding. So I just kind of slid right into college, music education. It just kind of felt like, this is what I do. This is who I am since I was 9. And I had a couple, sub jobs in that, but then I got to Delavan. I've been here for 26 years.
Tremendous. Now, let's see. One of the things that strikes me so it was Jerry Jennings, who was another guest actually on this program, who started the strings there, and then you've had it ever since, and kept up numbers really well, and also consistency of playing. Whenever I hear your orchestras, I know that there's this sine wave, there's variation from year to year, sure, but there must be something that you do to help keep the culture of the standard and or the degree to which people just focus on it and practice. Would you be willing to share some of your secrets along those lines?
Sure. There actually was another teacher between me and Jerry that was here for 5 years. I just want to give her credit because she did a nice job holding the fort, holding down the fort until I got here. But yeah, Jerry is amazing. And I have in the stacks scrapbooks that Jerry kept. So I have, like, from 1976 concert programs and newspaper articles and photographs and little stories about different students from her. And holy cow, the work she did. That's pretty cool. So that's kind of inspiring for me.
Nice.
And sometimes I look at the programs and I think, wow, I wish I could pull that off. Because boy, she did some pretty intense stuff. Now, things were different in the 70s compared to now. And I think the way the program was put together was different. I mean, everything was different in 1976 to now. I don't get to do as personal one-on-one lessons with the students the way she did. So I really have to push to get kids to get private lessons outside of school to get that more in-depth, this thumb must go like these little tiny things that I try to do in a group situation, but works better with a private teacher. But holy cow, yeah, she really set me up good. So there was a culture of being an orchestra in the program in the district already when I got here. And so for me, it has just been, this is what we do. And it's an automatic thing. We are just part of the school. I think that we've kept numbers here because, boy, that's a toughie. Well, I have supportive administration and supportive team members, the other music department members, and we all just want kids to get involved. We want our kids. We're a high poverty school district, and it means more than anything else that they're involved in doing things and getting out to college campuses to perform, or, we're just like so invested in what we're doing and so enthusiastic about it that it's just what we do. And I think our administrators see that, and so that we have a lot of support to keep it going. I mean, our middle schoolers have to be in performing music. They're in band, orchestra, choir. That's it. Nice. So then they are. And then it just kind of just keeps going. They just keep going. And then I have an advantage, I have to admit, over some of my colleagues, is that because I'm at the high school too, their whole life in middle school, I'm talking about high school. Well, we did this and we're going to do this and we're doing this scale because in high school, we're going to do this, but in 2 octaves. Or, I'm always kind of leveling them up and always thinking about it. And I think a lot of them just feel like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do in high school. It just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Excellent. We just talk about it as if it's going to happen, and so it does.
Yes. Nice. Very nice. Now let's see. So when it comes to, so that's the program as a whole. For individual students who have not, shall we say, not yet found the love of the process of practicing, who need a little bit of help motivating themselves to accomplish what they can accomplish. What's in your bag of tricks there?
Well, I do go to Dr. Benjamin Whitcomb's Cello Chat and listen to what other people are doing because, wow, there is no one answer. And I'm still seeking it for everybody. And honestly, including myself, I don't practice as much as I should. And I don't think I ever really did. I love practicing and I want to play my cello all the time. And so I'm upset when I can't. But boy, for some kids, they just really want to play. And some kids, it's work. And so they don't want to do anything that is work. So a part of it is just giving them what they want. So what's the song you're looking for? I'll find it online for you. If I have to rewrite parts or arrange parts, or if it's middle schoolers always want these pop songs that are in bizarre keys with rhythms they don't really understand. And so I'm, simplifying and writing in fingerings and just anything to get them touch their instrument outside of the school. That's really it. Anything to get them to touch their instrument. And then, so for violinists, let's get rid of that stupid sponge they hate and get them a proper shoulder rest so they feel like a grown-up when they play, and then they feel better about it. For cellos, it's, let's upgrade your rosin and see what it's like to have gold flex rosin. It's gold. It's exciting. Or a hypoallergenic one. I just discovered this clear rosin that doesn't make as much powder and it's good for people who have breathing issues. Well, it's exciting. So they want to try it. So anything they can do to try. Yeah. I got to say the UW Whitewater cello rags, those are motivating.
Nice.
They want to use them. They like to show off. Never do they clean an instrument is when they have one of those. So it's like I don't want to make it sound like it's gimmicky, but it's really just for the youngsters, it's about that stuff to get them like excited. Everything's new. When they first get their instrument in 4th grade, it's new. So then there we go. That's easy. But then it's not new anymore. So you kind of have to give them some new stuff. Yeah. Plus the music. And that's my biggie is the music. For me as a student, and then for me when I work with the kids, they just got beautiful music to play. If the music they're playing is beautiful, that's motivation. If it's etudes, there's some really lovely Dotz-Hour etudes. They're beautiful. So let's just not pretend it's an etude. It's a beautiful song. Let's just think of it like beautiful music. And that it gets some of them, doesn't get all of them, but it really just that keeping things moving and being new and exciting and sparkles on it all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you say they don't want to work. And I think about how Phyllis Young's two books that both have play or game in the title. And it's kind of a mindset, but it's like, does this have to be seen as work? Or can you find a way to make it fun, And it's like, that's not gimmicky at all. That's a way to win the willpower battle without making it seem like it's sheer willpower,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love having siblings in orchestra because then they play together. Most of the time, sometimes they don't get along, but even the ones that don't get along, sometimes it's the instrument that pulls them together, and then they play together. And that I enjoy that. Making harmony is really great. I do talk to some students about making their own harmony too. You're recording yourself playing a duet and then play the duet with yourself.
Yeah.
Virtually. But having somebody else to play with you is really that's big. That's big.
It is. It's huge. Now, okay, from your own personal perspective, the relationship between what you have learned playing a string instrument, I know you play them all, but thinking this being a show primarily for cellists, when you are playing cello, how it informs what you do on the podium and vice versa. So I'll just give you one example. I remember that George Nightcrew, one of my other former teachers, once, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something about how he felt he could tell whether a given conductor was a string player based on how they conducted a legato passage, and it's like, yeah, there is something very much in the motion that we do for a good legato that can immediately be visually just transferred by showing that exact motion with the stick in your hand.
Mm-hmm. That is something I subconsciously do, I'm sure, because I'm thinking as a string player all the time. But I consciously make an effort to do, because I have younger players who are learning what articulations are. And so I show them in my conducting so that they can mirror what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes we're doing hook staccato, and I'm conducting the hook staccato with my hands, so they're getting the direction too. I mean, it's not just about rhythm or articulation. Sometimes it's all the way down to really simple things like bow direction to keep us together, without just being very literal.
Right. Yep.
That's right. But including all that in. For sure. And I think about the conductors that I loved as a student, like when I was in youth symphony, Ron Melby, he was all over that podium and his arms were flailing all around. And boy, you always knew exactly what his intent was. He was showing every little thing. And this is, youth symphony kids. So we were kind of on top of stuff. So I've got fifth grade orchestra who's really just learning D string and A string notes and playing quarter note and eighth note patterns most of the time. But I want to give them as much as I can. They don't all need me to give them that much, but there's kids who really need me to give them that much. So I try to be as demonstrative and show them as bow specific stuff within the context of everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, can we go back for a moment to, you talked about repertoire and helping students find a particular piece that that they love, or they've said that they love, but they maybe just haven't found. So what you're going after there. But as a successful orchestra director, middle school, high school, you have to be really well versed in the choices out there to try and find something that is going to make them, really excited about playing the piece, but also be at their level, where it can be a challenge, but not this big of a challenge. I remember Samuel Applebaum gave a fair amount of credit to his success to choosing the pieces that were going to help the string players sound their best. So do you have some thoughts on what what you have to do to stay on top of the various options? Even hearing that something is a grade 3 piece, well, grade 3 can be pretty broad.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the job. Besides the interpersonal stuff, I mean, I love the students, and each one is an individual, and they're challenging and exciting. Beyond that interpersonal stuff, I really like the search for music. I like sharing that with them and exposing them to things they didn't already know. But that you do need a hook sometimes. There are things that I know they're going to love because their exposure to orchestra music is so much in movies, video games, things like that. So that's what they're used to, and that's what they love. And a lot of them have that kind of stuff on playlists. So they're hearing it, but they can't really play it. So Soon-Hee Newbold, Richard Meyer, I mean, these are composers who write for high school level students with such excitement and storytelling, expression. And then I'm getting into all these articulations and rhythms and key changes and tempo changes and all this really deep stuff in a song that maybe is no longer than 4 minutes. So it's grabbing them all and putting those are big hooks for the kids to keep interested. And then that's the stuff they want to listen to. So it's connecting to what they already know to something new. And then it's easy to branch from that into Beethoven overture or some chamber music or something else. So just doing all of that. And then now, thankfully, publishers are publishing more music of people of diverse backgrounds, of women. And so we talk about those sorts of things, and that excites them. So, and then into the history, when we go into music from Black composers, and we can connect into history and all of that, everything, every little aspect. That's why it's so fun for me. Just there isn't enough time in the school year to get to everything. So when I have high schoolers, well, I've got 4 years to stretch it out. So, we might focus on African-American composers, then it's women composers, then it's contemporary composer. It just all switches around. Yeah. But I really do have to say, I have to give Soon-Hee Newbold and Richard Meyer a lot of credit because they write some stuff that really pulls the kids in.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean, it seems these days there are a lot of composers out there who aren't just trying to write, oh, here's a piece that's in my mind, and if it's so difficult that only the top orchestras in the world can play it, so be it. But instead they go, all right, I am going to craft a piece that is for this particular level and make it as engaging as what's going on in my mind. You know what I mean? So there are more composers, it seems, that are interested in finding a way to make it work for particular levels.
I think that's we're coming back to maybe an appreciation for music that is more like 19th century or early 20th century, before the phonograph, before people only ever heard Pablo Casal play something. People played music for each other. They just enjoyed music and engaged in music with each other. And it wasn't necessarily at that level, but it was still meaningful and important and powerful for them and fun. And I think that we're looking at audiences in a way that, we can have fun with this. We want to have fun with this. It's not just about always being at the highest level. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with highest level. We want to get us, up there as we can, but it's not just about that.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process.
Is the approach similar for your top orchestra? It's by audition to get into the chamber orchestra, right?
Well, at the high school, we have just one orchestra, and then the people they do seating auditions for their seat at the beginning of the year. And then the people who are in the front have no choice but to be in the string choir, and that group works outside of the school day. So it's not a class. It's the extra group.
Okay.
yeah, it's a way for me to differentiate, to give those kids more of a challenge, because they do tougher things that I can pull off with the entire class. So I do even have beginners in the high school even. So it's really challenging.
Sure.
So yeah, the string choir, we push to get to the higher levels there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I wasn't, I didn't know how that worked, but that makes sense. All right, great. Wow. So let's see, actually just one more thing on the repertoire thing, because you say you enjoy keeping on top of the repertoire out there and choosing, which is great. I think the more we can find ways to enjoy that, because I know it can be a challenge. One of the things that I enjoy is I get to hear each year anywhere from at least 15 or 18, sometimes 25 or 30 high school orchestras. And it's always interesting to me. I can't help but think how similar they are in some ways and how different they are in other ways. But just like even finding a level of piece that allows the students to use their listening skills that they have and get in tune, you know? And I mean, sometimes for string players up to a certain level, that's just avoiding key signatures of more than, you know, about 3 sharps or flats can do a lot. But is there anything else about what you do, like what you say in an orchestra, even that has beginners and people who've been playing for a long time? What's your approach to intonation, I suppose, is my bigger question.
Boy, that's a tough one, because I'm never satisfied. I feel like we are never really in tune. We just keep working at it. It's listening, and listening. Pulling things apart. It's fun in rehearsal to, let's say we did themes from the Moldau, and there's these beautiful waves in the cello section. Well, let's get these arpeggios in tune and listen until then we get those in tune, then we can put this beautiful melody on top of it. And then we're looking for those common notes, or we're listening for the chords. It's really about pulling it apart. I mean, I do scales and scales and scales. We start every class with scales. We do scales when we change keys from one piece to another in a rehearsal. A lot of kids just shut their brain off in a scale. You know, the really motivated kids or the higher level players, they're paying attention, but a lot of the group is just and putting their fingers on the tapes, especially in middle school. They're just kind of not really thinking about it. So I want to use scales, and I want the scales to work, because in theory, if we're all paying attention and putting our fingers where they're supposed to and listening, we'll get our scales in tune and translate to that to the piece. But it just doesn't work as slick as I want it to. So it really is just pulling the piece apart and getting the kids to understand what a rehearsal is, and that it's about picking those things apart. And sometimes students get frustrated. Why can't we just play through the song? Because it's not right. We have to fix it. So this is how we're going to fix it. And listening to each other's parts and pulling it. I like that process myself. And then it's a chance for it. Did you ever hear this cello melody? Look, they do have, the violas have melody here. Let's hear the viola melody. And now you have the arpeggio over there. Let's hear your arpeggio. And then they understand the music more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a sneaky way to talk about intonation, because intonation's not fun. It's rough.
Yeah. No, it's true. But what percentage of it is always keeping your antenna up? It's an awareness issue first. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, I know we're coming up on the end of the semester, but what does the summer hold? What does the fall of 2023 look like? What projects do you have?
We have summer orchestra, and that's just in July, and we're always looking for performances. We have historically been playing as a little opening act for Lake Geneva Symphony. I haven't set anything up yet this summer. I don't know exactly what's happening. We've played for Milwaukee Milkmen baseball games, done the Star Spangled Banner for that. We don't have anything scheduled for that yet. The big draw for summer orchestra, and this is what I love. They just want to play. They want to play together. And I tell them, we're just going to, we're going to hit the literature. I got a stack of music and we're going to play through. And if you love something, we're going to play it more. They just really just want to play. And the last couple of years, the numbers in summer orchestra has grown a lot. I think they just tell each other it's fun, and they tell each other they should join and have a nice little group. So it's a hoot. We make a little music in the mornings, and not a lot of pressure on performing, just to learn some music and play together. So that's summer. And then we hit the ground running in fall. Our first week of school is about memorizing fiddle tunes because we play in the Cornfest parade every year. That's fun. I'm trying to think of a better word than fun. We pile 70 kids on the back of a flatbed truck sitting on bales of straw, playing fiddle tunes, and that's how we start the year. So the first week is memorization.
Good.
Now, I don't know that that's really like ideal teaching strategy to start that way, but it's what we have to do because that's when the parade is. So,
but automatizing certain things where you can just take them for granted, memorization is a great way to do that.
That is true. And then everyone's kind of on an even playing field. We all got to do it, and they're all capable. You don't want to pick fiddle tunes that are too rough, and they're differentiated so people can play a break part or a bass line part where they need to, but we're all in it together. So it's a good team building kind of thing.
Cool.
And then you're all giggling on the back of a truck. That's just funny.
Very nice.
Everyone's pulling straw out of their clothes and all that. Yeah, it's just funny.
Well, I hope we get to hear your orchestras again at one of our orchestra festivals. That's always fun to hear what they're up to and what the new crew brings to the table. And maybe I can get down there at some point as well. I always love coming down for a visit.
That would be terrific. And we really do look forward to the orchestra festivals. I mean, the kids still talk about this late in the school year. They're still talking about things they learn at them. They love it. They just love it.
Well, great. Oh, that's great to hear. Well, terrific. All right. Well, thanks so much, Jennifer. This has been a real treat. And to everybody out there, you know the drill. Practice all week and you will earn another Cello Chat episode this time next Friday. How about that? Happy practicing. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.